Hey Essie, this is Raph here on the red carpet, as you can see here. So let me start here with you're asking about the butt thing, okay, and squeezing your butt and rotating your hips. So what you see a lot of people basically, they're sort of riding like this. What you want to do is rotate your hip like this, and keep your back straight and rotate it. So what that entails is squeezing your butt cheeks right there, okay, making them nice and tight, and then suck it in or tightening your core right here. So when you do that, and you have your stance there, you can bounce up and down, and your shock absorbers and stuff are right here in your quads. And one of the things I think I mentioned is you want to use your big muscles like here, your quads instead of your calves, and you want to use your knee and your hip, which are your big joints, instead of your ankle. Because it's just much more efficient and you won't get as tired as quickly. A lot of new folks, they tend to ride on their tippy toes, and when you do that, you're going to really burn your calves. So, okay, so the tilted pelvis here, I guess most people probably staying pretty neutral like this, but you want to rotate it like you're humping. Okay, so here on the board here. You basically, let's see, a neutral stance is you want the midline of your foot, which is actually right about here where my tape is. You want that on the midline of your board, centered over there. And for the most part, you're riding with your hip also over that midline, which is right here. Okay, and then ideally your leading shoulder is also over that midline. So in a neutral stance, and your closed shoulder, you're all lined up, stacked inside the cereal box. If you think about the board being the bottom of the cereal box, you want all your body parts to remain inside of the cereal box. You don't want arms flailing like this, or when you go toe side, you don't want to be going like this, or you see a lot of people riding open like this, and they have the invisible girlfriend that they're holding on to. And that's what's called rotated open with your invisible girlfriend. What you want to basically do is make your upper body quiet, your back kind of straight, and you want to sink in your knees. You're squatting. So, like my natural stance here is about a 22, which is my shoulders sort of fit right inside my feet here. And so if you have too narrow of a stance, you can't squat. You're more bending down then. So you want to widen your stance so you can just squat. Okay. And so when you're squatting, you're working your quads here as your shock absorbers. So let's see. So I think that's kind of the neutral stance here. So you're moving in three dimensions here. You're moving toe side, you're moving heel side, you're moving towards the nose of your board or aft the nose, aft towards the tail, and you're moving up and down. So here's the midline or the center of the board, and basically you want your center of gravity here, where your belly button is, or slightly below here, to be over the center line of your board. And so here's your stance, and you're just cruising along, going like this, and being your shoulders parallel with the board. Everything's inside of the cereal box, okay? And so one of the things to do is a drill to get more dynamic is when you have a good neutral stance, you can ride like this and just ride with your elbows rested on your knees here. So when you ride with your elbows rested on your knees, it's really pretty comfortable, except you're kind of burning your quads here. But you're bouncing along, just going like this, riding like this. And it really takes very little movement to go toe side and just drive your knee like this a little bit. And you'll start going toe side, or swing your knee out towards the nose here, swinging it out. And you'll start to go heel side. So, it's good practice just to ride like this for a while, ride straight up and notice the difference. And then when you're dropping up and down, when you're going through a carve or a turn, you can really feel when you're, really edging really hard, you want, your center of gravity is going to move from the center of the board here to the heel edge when you go on toe side, and when you go or heel side. So your center of gravity is going to move towards the heel side if you're going heel side, or when you're going toe side, you're going to really be driving with your knees. So your center of gravity is going to move over here on top of your toe side edge. Let's see. So that's okay. So one of the things about weighting the nose here, when you want to weight your nose, you're here in your neutral position, and basically all you're doing is shifting your hip sideways to the nose, and it's not that much. So you're lined up over your center line, and you just shift your hips this way towards the nose. That's going to take out any squirreliness if you're going down the fall line, and weight your nose. And then when you want to go toe side, so you've shifted your weight towards the nose, and then you basically drive your knee. So here's the center of your turn, which is also in a curve too. So you keep driving your knee towards the center of the turn. You're pointing your shoulder this way, so your body's rotated that way, and your hips are rotated. So when you're going toe side, you're rotating your hips this way, or if you're going heel side, you're rotating your hips this way. You can kind of think of how you steer with your board is with your front knee, and so you're driving your knee this way, or for toe side, or you're swinging it this way. So how that looks from the side is, you're driving this way, you're dropping your shoulder, driving and pointing here, or to go heel side, you're swinging this knee out and pointing this way. Let's see. So one of the things also about sort of this neutral position that you're working in and out of all the time is, I think, like I said earlier, being stacked. And that's kind of real important, and just, making sure your body parts are in the box and just being quiet. You really don't have to move. It's more efficient to steer from the bottom up. But you see people point this way. So what you're doing is twisting here, and then that energy has to twist down to the board to turn. But if you're using your knee, it's much closer, or your feet, pressuring your toes. So when you go toe side, you're going to feel pressure in your big toe. Your knee's going to be driving, so it's much closer to the board. So it's going to be faster and more efficient to turn if you're turning from the bottom. And then when you're adding your hips and your shoulder into that rotation, it's just even becomes more efficient. And so if you're, going heel side, you're swinging that knee out. You're also feeling pressure on the little part of your little toe side. So when you swing, you're going to feel that. And what that does is transfer energy to your contact point out here on the nose, and you're going to be going this way. So, from looking this way, you're going to be, kind of doing this, keeping your back straight instead of bending over like this. You want to get those hips rotated over on top of your center line, because if you're riding, this is kind of stinky, but your butt side is over your heel edge, and your shoulders are over your toe edge. So you're kind of counterbalanced, kind of going like this. But if you're centered in here, then you're kind of just working the board from the lower part here. So I hope that does it for you, Essie. I don't know about your range of motion stuff, but I think you'll work on it and you'll figure it out. And I think I have no idea about your ankle range of motion, but when you're doing this, you have your boots and your bindings on. So when you're driving toe side, you want to really feel pressure here against your shin here, leaning into the strap of your binding, because that's what's you're leveraging that, and so that's transferring it into the toe side edge here. And opposite with heel side, you're using actually this calf is bending up against your high back here, and you're pressuring that. So, you know, generally, the more you can just ride kind of sunk here, sort of like you know, balance. You know, once you kind of feel that balance, you'll feel a lot more stable just being, you know, in this box and in a neutral stance. Um, so, hey, good luck and have fun.